YouTube, welcome to the shop. Thomas here. So if you've watched any of my Ersa videos on this Icon Nano, Ersa Icon Nano, I've done I think 2 or 3 videos on this, and each video there's one thing I've consistently bitched about, and that's you know, the lack of these tubes. They only supply 4 when there's actually holes for 6. So I kind of just put a couple brass rods in there. Unfortunately, they don't stay in there when you lift the thing up because they're through holes. But yeah, it is what it is. But I've got some extra tips, and I think I have a couple extra hidden under all this garbage on my bench here. But you know, I don't like them just sitting in here like that, rolling against each other. I mean, they'll knock the plating off and stuff, and which may or may not be a big deal to you. But you know, I've got this piece of scrap aluminum I got from the scrap yard. I've already marked it out about how wide I want it, and I'm going to cut this excess off, and then I'm basically going to take, you know, some of this brass rod. I'm going to drill some holes in here and press these in the holes, hopefully. And yeah, and then I'll have a little stand for my my little Ersa Icon Nano soldering tips. So I'm actually just because I don't know how well this is going to work out, because I want to do what's called a press fit, and that's basically the holes just slightly undersized compared to the rod, and you press it in. But this being brass, you know, they could bend, so I'm actually going to use a piece of scrap and test it out before I do that. So hopefully that works, because then it'll be nice and straight. But at least on this, you know, the Ersa branded one, you know, the center seemed to be about 15 millimeters between hole and hole, so that's what I'm going to shoot for on here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut this and then drill a bunch of holes, and then or actually I'm going to cut a piece of scrap and drill a hole and put a piece of brass in there and try it on the scrap first. Okay, so I've got the little proof of concept, and although I didn't really have the right drill bit size, it still kind of worked. Just tapered the brass, but after putting that thing on there, I realized that maybe the one I used is too short, so I'm going to use a slightly larger one. And now, since I know that's going to work, and as you can see, there's no wiggle. There's no wiggle to it or anything. It's in there really tight. I'd probably have to use some vice grips or something to pull that thing back out, and I'd probably end up ruining it. But it doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want it to be wiggly, you know. So didn't want it to wiggle, because I actually put a hole right there, and that's the rod's 3/32, so I used a slightly undersized drill bit and then reamed it to 3/32, and it's too loose. You know, it wobbles and stuff. I can't stand that, so it wouldn't stay in there without gluing it or epoxying it, and I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted it to be a mechanical lock. So that works. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that piece of aluminum and scribe some line, put some layout fluid on it, and drill a bunch of holes. Alright, well, this piece of scrap is a bit on the large side for this saw, but it will work, and it's aluminum, so it's pretty soft, but just need to be careful how it's in there. Not too shabby. Just need to clean that up and clean it, put some Dicom on it and do some layout lines. Well, apparently I forgot to turn the camera on when I was doing this, but I just used some blue Dicom and I just brushed it on here. And this is to help so you can see the scribe lines when you scribe them. It's still wet right now, so I'm going to let it dry, and then once it's dry I'll be back and we can start scribing out the lines. Alright, so the Dicom is pretty much dry now. I'm actually going to use my calipers here to get me a scribe line on two sides, and then I'm just going to use a ruler to go from there. I want to basically come off about 10 millimeter on two sides. Doesn't have to be perfect, I mean. I don't know if you can see that or not. You can actually see the scribe right there. Now you can see the scribe. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and use that one as my little place I'm going to start. So every 15 basically. And now I'm just going to take whatever side's probably the squarest, and like I said, it's not critical, but I'm just going to line it up with that hash mark I did, the little scribe mark, and I'm just going to go across. And the same thing with the long side. Oops. I always do that. Leave my finger in the way. And there we go. So now we have our layout. So yeah, that's actually quite a few. It'll hold quite a few. But now I just need to center punch these and then start drilling them. Alright, I wanted to say something about this. If you look at this, you can kind of tell that there's more space on this side than this side. There might be a little bit less space up here than down there. It's not a perfect grid. It's not completely centered. Obviously, if you want it to be perfectly centered, you can do it so, but I don't really care as long as the tips stay on there. So this is fine for me. Next thing I'm going to do is cut the rod, and this is pretty simple. I've got me a little piece already cut that's the right length, so I'm just going to use that as a template and just kind of, you know, mark it as such. And then put it on the vise and cut these out, and I'm going to need quite a few of these. I think I need 40 of them total. Alright, so I've got, I don't know, about 12, maybe 15 of these little things cut to length, more or less. Now I'm going to put them on the grinder and flatten them out and put a little taper on one end. Like I said in the last little segment, I said there's about 40 positions. So, but I don't have 40 tips right now, so I'm just going to put whatever I've got right here, and I'll keep my little template for length and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and drill all the holes out just to make it easy. But I think I'm just going to do these to start with, and if I need more, then I can add more. Alright, well, we're going to start drilling out this thing, but I wanted to show you guys something first. You know, I'm just basically going to hit it with a center punch, but I've got two center punches here. Actually, that's got some rust on it. But I wanted to see if I can show you guys something. See the one on the other side, the sharper one? That's called a prick punch. And if you're trying to get exactly on the little crosshair, that's what that's for. This makes it so you can line up your punch or wherever you want to drill at, line it up more precisely. In fact, they actually make a little hammer. I've got one made by Starrett, and it has a little tiny magnifying glass in there, so you could actually get up, magnify it, and then get it precisely centered, and just give it a little tap. You don't want to tap it real hard because of the really sharp point. But then you use your standard center punch, because there'll be a little tiny dimple there, and then the point of the actual center punch will get on there, and then you have a really nice, let's see if I go the right way. You know, it's not perfect, but that's, you know what I'm saying, but it's very close. And that's kind of what that little magnifying glass is for, so you can get it absolutely perfect. But like I said, I'm not that concerned about it being perfect. I just want it close. As you can see, it's a little high from the crosshair, but you know, that's fine for me. But I don't know, I thought that was kind of some of you might find this interesting, because I know some of the you know, like when you get a set of punches, sometimes it actually comes with the prick punch, and a lot of people don't know what that prick punch is for, but that's what it's for. Just gonna put it out there. Most people that have a drill press like this, you can't really see it, but on this side here, there's a little stop to keep the quill from going but so low, and I've already set that, so it's, you know, it gives, you know, it stops at that setting. So that's what you want to do. You want to take your piece, and you don't want it to go all the way through. So, and I've got, as you can see, well, you may not be able to see it or not, I don't know, but I've got all the little crosses punched, so, you know, all we got to do is drill it out now. Alright, I wanted to say something about what I was doing right here. A lot of people may be wondering why I'm not using a vise to hold this. And the simple answer is because this drill bit is so tiny that it's really not imparting a whole lot of torque on this, so you can safely hold it with one hand. In fact, I will typically hold by hand all the way up to a 1/4 inch. But just like anything, if you decide to do that and you get hurt, that's on you, not me. So now we're going to take a little countersink, and we are going to slightly chamfer these things out. And that'll make it a lot easier to get the pins in. One thing I noticed when I was drilling this thing, though, is that this thing's clearly not completely flat, because I don't know if you could hear the vibration in there, and that's because it's not flat on this. So I know, well, I could be wrong. One of these pieces I got was sheared instead of cut, so if it was sheared, it probably put a little warp in it. And we just want a wee chamfer, just enough to get rid of the burr and to make it a little bit easier to get that rod in. So I'm going to take some alcohol and wipe this stuff off, and then we can start putting the pins in. Alright, on these little brass rods on one end, I put more of a taper than I did on the other. And obviously the tapered side you'd want to go down. Kind of check it with another one. Make sure you're getting it down. Oh, bent that a little bit. So I have to straighten that just a hair, which shouldn't be a big deal. So yeah, it's not going in really deep. It doesn't really need to. These things are actually in there pretty snug like. Actually, I think I might want to get that just a wee bit more. There we go. That's good. And if you are having a little bit of problems getting it in there, if you need to, like, this is just some high-grade mineral oil. Just put a little mineral oil on there to help act as a lubricant. And then you can just wipe that stuff off a little bit. Just like such. Actually, I do believe that worked a lot better, so I think I'll do that for the rest of them. Oh yeah, I can definitely tell the difference. I don't know if you are noticing that there's a slight change in pitch as you get closer to the bottom of the hole. It's not science, but so I think that's all I'm going to start with as far as holes or pins rather. So I don't even have enough to fill that up, but I figure it gives me a good little start anyways. So we'll take this upstairs and put my tips on it after I get this oil cleaned up. Alright, so just wanted to show you that it's done. This is the test piece, as it were. I still need to try to get that pin out. Anyways, these are the two pins that I had put in the holes right there. I'm no longer going to use them since they don't stay in anyways, because every time I pick it up they just fall out. So now it's the little template for more pins if I need them, so I'll just keep them there. But I just wanted to show you that it does work, and it works quite well too. And as you can see, I've got plenty of room to grow. I probably will never fill this whole thing up. I probably made it too big, but you never know. I know there's at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 more that I want to get. And you know, you never know, they may come out with some new stuff in the future, or maybe they'll finally start putting up, you know, the rest of them that, you know, that they sell on Amazon. Then I would like to get a couple. I don't remember what they call them. They're not spatulas. They're different. But they're big wedge-shaped ones. I wouldn't mind trying a couple of those on here. But yeah, I probably could have, you know, done away with 2 sets of rows here, and this would have been probably more than sufficient. But that being said, if I ever do get some of the bigger ones, they'll take up, you know, like the wedge shaped ones are quite large, so they would take up multiple spots on here most likely. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with this. The next thing I want to do is I've got a bunch of these tips. I got a whole bunch of them at one time for my Metcal, and I'm having the same problem with the Metcal. The Metcal on the thing only holds looks like 5 of them, and I probably got another half dozen or more, and I'll definitely be getting a lot more of the Metcal tips, just because they have a lot more surface mounted stuff. So I'll eventually end up with a bunch more of those, and also because of the fact that the tips are temperature rated, you need multiple tips if you want multiple temperatures. So I'll probably end up making, or probably, you know, it's like over on my little thing over there, I've got multiple tips for the same multiple geometries, but for different temperatures. And also I've got long and short, so it's like these two are the exact same thing. Well, no, they're not. No, that's I must already have it in there. Yeah, okay. These two are the same. That's a chisel, and these are 2 bent 5mm conicals, and that's a 4mm conical. I've got 2 of these and 2 of these for different temperatures and stuff. So yeah, so that turned out all right. So yeah, I hope you like that, and stay tuned for a Metcal, do-it-yourself Metcal tip holder. Thanks for watching.